In this episode of the Real Sales Manager podcast, it was a great delight to have a conversation with Roni Fogel. Roni's an experienced sales leader specializing in the IT security space, working with companies such as JFrog as head of security sales for EMEA, and for F5 as vice president of sales for secure distributed cloud platforms across EMEA. Roni was recommended by Teja Kilshaw, you may remember her from episode 12, who praised Roni's all-round sales management approach, but particularly her superb mentoring and coaching skills. So these are the areas that we focused on in a lot of our great conversation. As always, I learned a huge amount talking with Roni, and there were many points that resonated, maybe two in particular. Firstly, when she very nicely articulated a key truth for all managers, that our role is not to make people happy or motivated, but our role is to help people find their own way to be happy and motivated. And then secondly, she corrected me when we were talking about biggest mistakes. Roni tends to see these as learning opportunities, which makes it a lot harder for her to recall them as mistakes. Enjoy. Roni, thanks ever so much for coming on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to getting your insights, your perspectives. We'll talk about sales management maybe in general to start with, and then what I'd like to do is maybe also talk about mentoring, where I know you've got a lot of experience. But could I just start with a standard question? Could you just tell us a little bit about how you first got into a leadership position and what your journey has been?
Yes, of course. So while I was working for F5, after 11 years that I was an individual contributor, managing the channel, so I had management responsibilities, but not direct reported people. So I felt that I'm ready to move forward to the next phase in my personal development process and professional development. And there was a position of a director managing the partner account managers in South region, which is France, Iberia, Italy, and Israel. So I had a team of 6 great partner account managers to start it from different cultures. And it was the first real direct management role for me.
Oh, okay. And what attracted you to it? You say it was for your personal or your professional development, but why did you want to move into? Was it just a promotion you were looking for, or
no?
why?
So actually, I in my personal journey, I never look at the next title I want. I do the role, and then when I feel like I'm finishing my development process there, then I look to see what is open out there. It's kind of a different way from other people that have the 3 years or 5 years. I never could answer the question where you're planning to be in the next 3 years or next 5 years, because I think that once you understand that you are ready to move to your next step, then you might find yourself in different positions or different experience than you thought, because it really depends on what alternatives are there. So I felt like I'm ready to move on. I liked the management part in the previous role, and I wanted to make it official, to make sure that I can help other people to develop themselves. So it's more not only the management part that I was interested in, it's more the leadership and showing other people how else they can grow.
Oh, okay. So when you were, you thought, okay, I've done this role, I'm ready for a change. Management seems to be interesting. From your perspective, what are the key ingredients that you need to be a successful manager? What are the things that we should look for in sales managers?
So first of all, as you mentioned, not because it's a promotion. So if you're
Right.
looking for the next title, I don't think that it might not be responsible enough for the other people if that's the reason. I
Yeah.
actually think that you need to care for the people, to respect the people that are in their development process. I think that you need to have the experience and the wisdom in the area that you are dealing with. So in my experience, it was the channel world, distribution and partners. So you need to have the experience so you can lead people from giving examples of things that you went through. And I think that when you are a sales manager, you need to remember that numbers are important, are key, because that's the definition of the role. We need to achieve the target, but the numbers don't tell the whole story. So we do need to respect the process of the individuals going, in their journey.
Right, right. So, yeah, I mean, it's a debate I often have with people is if you just focus on the numbers of the outcome, and we, as sales managers, we need to achieve the numbers, but they are the result of doing other things. All right, and how did you find it when you first moved into management? Because many people struggle for the first, 6, 12, 18 months. What was it like for you, Roni?
I think that at the beginning, it looked easier than it actually was,
Right.
because you have all your imagination, and you see from outside how other managers behave, and then when you are in the position, you do have different challenges that you didn't expect. For me, it's a journey. It's a journey, first of all, to recognize myself as a manager. It was something that, every time that you do something for the first time, it's exciting, and it's like a baby start to walk. So he goes few steps, and then he falls, and then he get up again, and he walks other steps,
Right.
and at the end of the day, he can walk by himself. So I think that at the beginning, it was surprising to be in the position,
Okay.
but I started to enjoy it in a very early stage of the process.
Oh, okay. And what do you enjoy most about it?
So I'm a curious person and I'm a creative person, and I think that those two things are very important when you are a sales manager or a manager in general. I had a very diverse team. I had people from France, I had people from Spain, Italy, and Israel, in a very different stage in their experience. So it was very diverse, also from gender perspective, but also from age perspective. And
Okay.
I think that I discovered, for myself, I discovered diversity. Usually we talk about diversity, we talk about, gender, or about all very external or many things. And I believe that diversity is also when people come and feel free to share their ideas and perspective. And so I think that at the beginning, to get used to a different culture, I'm Israeli, so I'm very blunt and direct and transparent. And I think at the beginning it took me a bit of time to understand that even though I'm sharing this about myself, and sharing the fact that everything comes from a good intention, yet the culture sometimes need to take under. We need to make sure that we are not. It will not be counted as rude, for example. So that was my
Right.
first experience when I realized that I need, maybe, I'm all about being yourself, but maybe
Okay.
maybe myself now changed because I also represent the management part.
Yeah, sure, sure. And I mean, as you think about how you grow into the job, for you, how did you develop? Was it just kind of trial and error, or did you get lots of training? Did you read books? Well, it sounds like you went on quite a journey, yeah, with this very diverse
Yeah.
team. How does it work for you though? I mean, you could get very frustrated, I guess.
So I think that frustration, I didn't feel frustrated. I needed to work harder to be creative. So for example, at the beginning, when I came with all of ideas and from my experience, what can work and how we can change things and do better, most of the reactions that I got was, no, it will not work. It will not work here. It's too difficult. It's too complicated. And then, for me, when someone closed the door, I will go to the window. If the window is shut, I will find a way how to do it if I believe that that's the right thing to do. So I said, I didn't say that it's going to be easy. I never said it's going to be easy, but we need to do it. So let's find out how. And in the end of the day, I acknowledged the fact that it's complicated. I didn't ignore what they said, but I tried to engage them to think together. Okay, so how yet we can do it? How yet we can start? What's the start point? So I very, very soon in the process, it was never me as a manager and the team. The meaning of the team is we are all in this together. And my objective is for us to succeed together with each individual success. I'm a follower of Simon Sinek. I really believe in the finite and infinite game. I really believe in the way that he talks about people. So I like to quote him and to use some of the material because it resonates with me. So the way that I deliver it to the team is also something that they liked very much. Let's say that when I left this job, they did a video for me, and one of the pictures was of Simon Sinek.
Okay. Well, I'm a great fan of Sinek as well. How would for somebody coming into your team, how would you describe that whole approach? What for you are these key messages that resonate for a sales manager particularly?
So first of all, I think that to like people, to believe in people, that the fact that it's not, the people are the one that runs the business. It's not the numbers, and it's not the targets or the objectives. In the end of the day, you have people that you need to motivate, you need to engage so they can perform better, so the company can succeed. One of the challenges that we always have with sales is that you have your quarterly target, you have the annual target, and then what? So you achieve the target, and then next year the quarter will be additional 20%, and then what? So I believe in vision. I believe in people that needs to see, to engage them to the idea of the company, to the vision, to the team, where we would like to be in our dream. What's the best thing that we can wish for? We don't need to get there, but we need to plan together how to get there. And by this, you get better engagement of people. And I do believe that the team is engaged and they know that they can be transparent and they can share their ideas in a safe place.
Yeah.
I believe that it's the best thing that every sales manager wants to be. I also believe that you don't have a general leadership manual that fits everyone. I think that because we are different people and we want to promote diversity, each individual has different strengths, different weaknesses, and not necessarily if you will be stubborn to strengthen the weaknesses, it will be the right thing. And when you create a team and you know to identify how I can help as a manager to make sure that we will achieve the goal, but in the way that the individual can perform, I believe that we can better succeed together. And I think that it's part of the messaging of Simon Sinek to make sure that we see the people. People want to be seen.
Yes, yeah, but as a sales manager, how do you go about that, particularly with a very diverse team? So presumably you couldn't get them all together physically that often. So there's a lot of work that must go into treating everybody as an individual. How do you actually do that?
So first of all, when I started the first role as the director of the South Partners team, it was before COVID, just before COVID.
Okay.
We had actually the team, one of the team meetings in January before it all closed in
Okay.
March, and so when I had 2 days with them, first of all, it's not only about, again, numbers and planning. We started by the welcome to the frustration marketplace, because I acknowledge frustration. I think that people, they like to complain. They need to complain. We are all human. You can't be happy all the time with everything. So, and I think that to start the meeting with taking off your chest all the things that makes
Okay.
you unhappy, it helps. So I did all different activities in order to make sure that they have the stage. And then once we had all the frustration points there, and I really squeezed it, like after we finished the first cycle, I said, okay, let's go to another one. Like I wanted everything out. Then we picked the most common three, and together we thought about, okay, so there are things that we can control, and the things that we can't. We can't control the quotas at the middle of the year. We can't change the targets.
Yeah.
But we can control other things. So what are the things that we can change? What are the things that we have the power together, or I can do as your manager, or you can do as in your role, that we can change? And together, so complaining is one thing, and being a victim is another thing, and taking an action and understand that you control the process, that it's your responsibility to be happy, it's your responsibility to, the company is not responsible for your happiness. It's you that are responsible for your happiness, and you have tools. So the question is how you manage the tools that you have in order to make sure that you maximize the potential for you to be fulfilled and happy in your role.
Right. So for me, there are two really important things that you said there. One is that realization that there are only some things that we can control. We can't control the economy. We can't control the quotas. There's maybe some things we can influence, but focusing on what you can actually control the controllables and all that kind of stuff. That's I think a lesson that takes many managers a long time to get through. But then your other statement there is that the individual is responsible for their own happiness, and the company is not responsible for making them happy. And I guess you would say, you as the manager, it's not your responsibility. How does that play though?
It's a good point, because I had an argument with my manager about this. I do believe that, again, in the end of the day, if we face reality, no one can make you happy. In the end of the day, as an individual, in life in general, not only at work, you can't blame other people with your unhappiness. You need to decide to yourself what are the things that you are good with, and if there are things that you disagree, then you need, first of all, to state, to make sure that you say what you feel. I believe that the interest of the manager is to have a team of relatively happy people, that they come to work and it's a good place for them to be. I don't believe in the work-life balance discussion, because I do believe that if someone is happy, generally happy at the work, it's not a punishment to get up in the morning and to go to work. It's part of their development process and journey in life. So I believe that it's easy for frustrated or complainers, employees, to blame the company of things. I personally don't like it, because if it's not good for you, leave. Don't stay at work and complain, because it's, you are the only one that can take responsibility for your own happiness. I will do everything I can for my team to make sure that they're happy. What does it mean? If they state something that bothers them, I will acknowledge this. I will try to solve it. I think that the manager is responsible to help the team to be happy. We
Right.
are facilitators in the end of the day. Not always we can succeed, but our objective is to make sure that we do everything we can if it makes sense. Not, it's not about having a salary increase of 50%.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, I less believe in people that stay in the company only for money. I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's so it really so I think that we are facilitator for the team to make sure that they can develop their continue to develop in their journey.
Oh, okay. So again, the couple of points. So I personally also struggle with this thing about work-life balance because for me, we have one life, and we happen to spend some of it um, in employment and getting some money back, but it's still life, and we're there to achieve things to make ourselves happy, whatever it is. So that's a big debate, and I guess that goes back to your final point there that if people just come to work for money, I mean, that's very sad, particularly in a professional role like that we're in here. Um, okay, and I was going to ask you how you motivate people because you talked about motivation a couple of times, but yeah, on a lot of the training we often say the manager can't motivate people. It's people motivate themselves. Our role is to help them motivate themselves. So I guess you buy into that. But what do you actually do as a manager then?
I like to challenge the team.
Okay.
So first of all, my whole leadership style is from sharing my own examples from life. So I'm very open,
Okay.
very transparent. I have nothing to hide.
Yeah, yeah.
Examples can come from the professional world, and it can come from as a mother, from example
Okay.
from life. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, again, another part of the work-life balance. You take ideas. If you enjoy work, I think that parenthood is very similar to leadership. So you take examples from one thing to another. It's not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the two are my kids, but I do believe that there is similarity between some of the things when we talk about education. So if I want to motivate, first of all, I will challenge them to, when they ask something or raise an idea, it's like a ping pong. I would bring it back to them to think, okay, so what do you think is the right thing to do? There are individuals that they think that they participate in the discussion if they raise the point, which is it is participation. It's part of the participation, but
Yeah.
I don't believe that the manager is the only one to provide all the answers. I
Sure.
think that to give it back to the employee and say it's an excellent idea. How would you like to do it?
Right.
And then they need to
Right.
think. And I also think that it's great to give them to again. As I mentioned, I'm a very curious and creative person, but it doesn't mean that I need to do everything by myself.
Sure.
So to delegate projects, to let them manage and to experience, because again, it's very easy to look at someone from the side and to criticize them. You say, I would do different. I would, I don't know, why did she say this, this statement in this way?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when they are in this position, they understand it. Again, it's all of a sudden, it's surprising. It's not as easy as it looks like. So to delegate projects, to give ownership of different, as I said earlier, even though we are in sales, it doesn't mean that the targets and the numbers are the 100% content of the role. And I think that to give different projects to motivate them to contribute, to think, not to take
Yeah.
things for granted, and then to present and to own it. So when I was South region, or then afterwards it was EMEA, then to take an idea and to be responsible for the whole region for this.
Right.
So how
Right.
would you take example of something that you did and work well, and now you replicate this to other regions, to other countries? So I think that in order to increase motivation, to give them ownership of initiatives, and to delegate a bit of your to-do list to the
Yeah,
team,
yeah, yeah.
helping with motivation.
Okay, so Ronnie, you obviously have high standards, and you are very facilitative, and you push back on people and you challenge them. What do you do when people don't respond? Because presumably, I mean, particularly you talked about, going from the South region to EMEA, you're going to have some people who just aren't interested. What do you do in those cases?
So I guess that the question is why they are not performing,
Okay.
or why they are not. Is it because they are not capable of? Is it because they don't believe in it? I like to be very accurate. So I like to understand why. So the first thing is to ask them why. If I believe that it's something that they are not capable of doing, then there's another question. Do they want to be capable of doing? Is there anything that I can do in order to make sure that they are more capable of doing it? Or because they don't want to, they are lazy, or they want to go to do yoga or cycling or something else. And then it really depends on how, usually it will, if this is the situation, it will not be the only thing that bothers me.
Okay.
I do have high expectations. I do balance it with coaching and mentoring and helping them to develop themselves. But if
Yeah.
people are not responsive, and if they are not taking this as serious as I do, then I guess that it also, first of all, be reflected in the numbers. It's always go together. It's not that they can be 120% of achievement and lazy in other things. It doesn't
Yeah.
go this way. And then we'll have a different discussion.
Yeah.
But I guess that the question why, to ask them why, and to make sure that they understand. So to reflect what I see, I see that you're not really into it. What's
Yeah.
the reason? Why is it this way? Don't you believe in this? Don't you think that you are capable? And then to understand if there's anything that I can do. So usually, and I'm very direct. So if I feel that someone is not taking this as yeah, if someone doesn't take it in the right interest or level of professionalism, then I will reflect it. And but it's not the type of relationship that I had with the team. I think that the mutual respect that I talked about earlier is very critical exactly to those situations, because it's
Yeah.
mutual. So if I respect the team, if I respect every individual, they will respect me back. And then
Right.
the discussion will be in a different level.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it ever the case that you find it difficult to respect some of the people that are working in the team?
I had once situation where I couldn't really understand. I'm very sensitive to people that are not telling me the truth. So if I discover, if I discover something that is not really accurate or real, then it's for me it's a big no, and lying is not something that I can work with. So I did have situation where I found out that someone is lying, and then I couldn't respect him, and then it ended in a way that, in the end of the day, I cannot, if I can't trust my team, I can't work. So trust is a very crucial component of my relationship. I can deal with everything, by the way. I can deal with someone that said, you know what, I couldn't do it. I can react to the truth, even if it's problematic, and we can
Right.
deal with it.
Yeah.
I can't deal with the lies.
No. Okay. No, I get that. And I mean, again, Simon Sinek talks a lot about trust. And we know trust is really important for salespeople, but for managers, in both ways, it's incredibly important. You mentioned coaching and mentoring, and you were recommended as a guest on the podcast by Tasia, who told me what a fantastic mentor you are. So could we just explore that a little bit? I mean, when we talk about mentoring, what does that mean from your perspective?
So I think that we need to acknowledge that we don't know everything. And even when we got the promotion and now we are managers because we have been very good in our previous roles, and we are, and we went through all the interviews, and the company chose us to be the next managers, it still doesn't mean that we know everything. The opposite, by the way, it just means that we are at the beginning of the next phase. And I believe in learning. I think that in everything in life, we are not stuck in the same moment. We are developing all the time, every day.
Yeah.
If I ask you what you've learned today, I'm sure that you can find at least five facts. It doesn't need to be big, but 5 facts that you didn't know yesterday, and today you know. And I like it. I think that that's one of the things that we have in life. We would like to learn, and we also like to share from our experience with others. So I believe that this combination of someone that needs to learn and someone that wants to give, it's a match. So I think that mentoring is a great opportunity for anyone that is starting a new job, either a new company or a new role or a new title. I think that to find the one that you look up to and that you liked something that they did and you want to understand more and to learn more, I think that it's a great advantage.
Right. I mean, people talk about mentoring and they talk about coaching. In your mind, is there a difference?
Yes. In my opinion, mentoring is more relationship, a longer term relationship. And it's not for a specific goal. It's about development, about guiding, about career growth that you want to, or how to make the right decision. It's someone to discuss with on an ongoing way for a longer term relationship. Coaching is something that is more goal oriented. And more in the short term, and you need to have specific capabilities that you want to develop. If you want to take on yourself a new project or tools or capabilities that you need to find someone that did it already, and then he can guide you or she can guide you to what to. So coaching is less about sharing experience, is more about teaching someone, versus mentoring that is more being for someone else for a longer term.
Yeah. And what do you do when you are a mentor? What are the secrets to being a good mentor?
So first of all, to listen.
Okay.
To listen, to acknowledge, to be someone that it's kind of a safe zone. So you build the trust and you build a confidential relationship. And if the mentor is from the same company, so it's really important that it will be confidential. But you build a safe zone where you can share your frustration, you can share the challenges, you can share achievements. And on the other side, you have someone that doesn't judge you or criticize you. So I think that it's a great combination. As a mentor, I think that one of the advices is it's more kind of phrasing, if I were you, or what I would usually do in this situation, not to be too assertive and tell the mentee what they need to do. Because a very important part of the mentoring is to explore. It's to explore, it's to have a brainstorm, it's to discuss. In many very stressful sales organization, there isn't a lot of space and room for brainstorming. Sometimes you are expected to present the plan, and the plan should be already, completely full and closed, and not necessarily you have the room to brainstorm. And I think that if this is the situation, when you have someone to discuss with, to get different ideas, I think that it's a great help. So I believe in listening, acknowledging, supporting, giving advices versus tell them what to do.
Absolutely. And it is crazy, in modern business, there is a lot of pressure. It moves very quickly. We're always breaking new ground. And so that need to brainstorm, to be curious, to explore alternatives is more and more relevant, but we get less and less opportunity to do it. Um, okay. And as a mentor, how do you know if you're being successful with the people you're working with?
So for me, it was very easy to understand from the end of the meeting, they want to set up the next one. So
Right. Okay.
I believe in the structure. I believe that you define, you defined at the beginning of the relationship, you define the structure, the frame. So how
Okay.
often we are going to meet, and it's good to know, because if you know that you are going to meet bi-weekly or monthly, then when the mentee, they have topics they want to discuss, they take notes, and they know that in
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks from now or next week we are going to meet. So they come with examples of things that they have ongoing. I think, and it's one of the things that I was encouraging them to do, to take examples, to
Yeah.
take a note of examples of things that they would like to, don't trust on your memory. And so it helps a lot when you have something structured. If you It's also the motion of the conversation. If you get to the top of the hour, when you felt that it's like 10 minutes conversation, it was 1 hour, then you know that it was interesting for both sides. And I believe that in the end of the day, when you take a break of 1 hour in 2 or 3 weeks to focus on yourself, it's priceless. It's priceless. I don't think that we do it enough. So I believe that, and mentoring and to have the will to do mentoring is to put yourself in higher priority, and I think that it's very important, especially for very new sales managers, when it's the first time that they are responsible for other people's life.
Yeah. Because it's a bigger move than most people initially think it's going to be. Okay, yeah, I've always found having that framework is important so that you know where you stand. I've always struggled as a mentor in being able to finish the relationship. Is that because you add value, people want to do it, and there's a danger that it goes on for years and years and years, and maybe you don't see that as a bad thing, but how do you know when you've got to a point where you need to stop that mentoring relationship and maybe move to something different?
So few years back, I think when I was in between roles, I mean, during the first role that I did for as a manager and the director of the South Palms team, the back then the VP sales of South, he wanted to have a better engagement between the different countries. So South region was from France, Iberia, Italy, and Israel, and then I was responsible for a South mentoring program. It was called the #DevMe, and we defined, so we did the matches. So we had a list of people that wanted to get to have mentoring, to be mentee, and we had a list of people that wanted to mentor, and then we did the matches per the specific experience, where we thought whether they can, and it was defined at the beginning, it was defined for a 6 month program. I think that to define upfront what the length, give both sides the opportunity to officially end it, because the program ends, so no one gets hurt if it ends, and on the other side, you can always continue. I think that if you define the goal of the mentoring at the beginning, because you have something that you want to be more accurate with, it will be easier. And I think that in the end of the day, no one wants to waste time. So if you don't feel like you give any value to the other side, or you don't get the value from the other side, then I think that it's fair enough to just thank for the time, because there was already an investment. We shouldn't forget it, and to end it. And you can never know. Maybe next time when you have a challenge, you want to consult again. So leave the door open always. But You
For
don't need
sure.
to
Yeah, yeah,
you don't
yeah.
need to do it just because you
Yeah,
want to do
I
it.
guess it's that setting it up front as that this is the expectation, and um, the door is open to continue it, but having an expectation you're going to finish. Um, okay, excellent. Um,
Yeah.
to try and draw all this together, so if I was to ask you, what were your top, I don't know, three tips for a new sales manager? The things that you would suggest to people that they really focus on as they move into the sales management role. What would they be, Ronnie?
So I think that the first one will be the leader that you wish you had.
Oh,
I think that that's something that always motivated me. Um, Another thing is, as I said earlier, be curious and creative, and inspired by your team. I think that leadership is exciting. I think
yeah,
that
yeah,
it's just a role of full of different motivations to. It's kind of, you can never know how it's going to be. You need to be curious to define the next thing, and what next thing you can create.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that that would be the second thing. The third thing, maybe really be on a learning mindset. Never think that you know everything. Don't fly on yourself that you know you are experienced enough, and you are now become the manager, so you have nothing to learn. I think that learning from the team, from the individuals, it's the best learning. You can be surprised of how many things you can learn about yourself through other people. And maybe I know that it's the three, but maybe just
yeah,
another topic is, everyone wants to be seen. So you have a team. It doesn't matter the amount of people, the number of people that you have,
yeah,
but it's like kids. It's not only the
yeah,
first one. Everyone wants to be seen. It's like you
yeah,
have you have actors in film. It's not the main actor. Also, the other actors want to be seen. They want to have as
yeah,
many minutes of show that they can have. So it's the same with the team. Not always the ones that are silent. More silent means that they don't want to be heard and they don't want to be seen. Uh,
yeah.
and I think that this is also something that is important to remember.
That's that is really good advice. I love that phrase, be inspired by your team, because we often think, the manager's job is to inspire people, but actually, yeah, the team can and should inspire you. Um, and I think that thing about everybody wants to be seen. As I've gone through all these podcasts, there's a temptation for new managers, particularly, to focus on the problem people, or maybe just to focus on the superstars. But you have to focus on everybody. The quiet people, the people who just get on with the job. They still want that one-on-one, that personal
Exactly.
recognition and relationship.
Yeah.
Um, okay, amazing. Ronnie, I'm going to take a very quick break, and then I'm going to ask you two final questions.
Sure.
Bonus question.
So Ronnie, we all learn from mistakes. So are you happy to share what's been your biggest mistake as a sales manager and what you learned from it?
Sure. So I will challenge you a bit with the definition of the word mistake, because
Okay.
in my opinion, if you are on learning mode, there are no mistakes. You have something that you do, but you learned from it, so it can't be considered as a mistake because it was actually a very good lesson for you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when I'm trying to think about mistakes, it's not that I'm perfect. I'm
yeah,
far
yeah,
from being perfect, but I'm on a journey and I'm on development, and my intention is good and positive. So when I do things, it's not from a bad intention. So when I come across challenges and I try to go through them, it's a great learning. It's one of the best
Right.
learning for me. So I
Okay.
can't share with you, but I can share with you
got
one of those important points where I had when I was actually at the beginning of my
Yeah.
my management role, and I talked earlier about different culture and managing people from different ages.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel that if I, in the introduction call, meeting that I do, if I present myself as a direct person, the fact that I'm doing it, it's enough for them to accept everything that I say, because they know that it comes from good intention and that I'm a positive person. But but sometimes it's not enough. So I had situation where I'm very sensitive to some things. For example, when you are in the meeting and someone is typing, I find it, very disrespectful. And for me, respect, if we talk about values, in people, when someone talks and someone type, it drives me crazy. So it was the first situation where I had someone in my team, and I needed to text him, can you please close your laptop? The fact that I did it, and again, he's from different culture, different age, he's older than me.
Yeah.
So he was insulted, and I think it was his ego that was insulted. Now I had two options. One, I could say, okay, I'm your manager, and it's not respectful, and it's something that is important for me. So it is what it is. But and that was the lesson. Once he was insulted by me, and my intention wasn't to insult him, I apologized. So I said, first of all, I apologize. I never meant to hurt you. It wasn't. Personally, I have difficulties with this because in my translation, when you type something, you don't listen, but it's me, and you're right. I didn't need to. I could maybe phrase it in a different way. So I decided at this point to put my ego aside, because my relationship with him, and it was only the beginning, is more important for me than to be right. So I delivered the message that it was important for me, but I also gave him the place to say, I never meant to hurt you, so I apologize for this. So I respected the fact that that's his feeling. I didn't argue with his feelings and tell him something, you shouldn't be insulted by this, because so for me, it was the first time that I needed to say, okay, you need to watch out when you feel that, when something is so logical for you, and for you it's kind of black and white. You need to respect the situation that you are in. It doesn't look like this to everyone, and maybe you should, have phrased it in a different way. So this situation helped me a lot, managing a very diverse team, to respect the fact, to be more sensitive to maybe the way that I'm sharing my feedback, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, to understand that it has a reaction, and it's interesting. You said the relationship is more important than you being right at that time. Yeah.
I think that in the end of the day, when you have when you're the manager, so you have kind of more power to decide things and to be right. When you want engagement and you want everyone to feel safe at work, and that's something that also Simon Sinek is talking about, I want them to feel safe at work. You need to give them the environment that they can be themselves as well. So yes, in the end of the day, it will be my word that will decide, but you have few ways to get there. And I prefer to put my ego aside. Everyone has ego, but it shouldn't lead me. It should be on the side. We have this relationship. I have this relationship with him, and sometimes I do consult with my ego. I said, "Is it your turn or mine?" Because it's in the end of the day, the relationship that I've succeeded to develop with each one of my team members along the years is I have this relationship until now. So it's something. It's relationship. It's not the role that decide your relationship. It's the people that they still are, we are still texting and talking once in a while, because it's relationship. So that's the main thing.
But it's interesting. I mean, it's a series of micro judgments that we're all making. I think we probably make it in sales as well when we're talking to customers around, but particularly as a manager, you know, you need some respect from people, but you need to give them respect, and so it's making those judgments all the time.
Definitely, and I think that customers are very smart and they know exactly when we are trying to, to play games with them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you treat the customers, and by the way, it goes per your kids and your friends, everyone should get respect,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it doesn't really matter the power they have and the control. So
yeah,
I think that transparency and honesty,
yeah, yeah.
and yet to define to yourself what is your frame, what am I allowed to do within the frame, what's the things that are outside, then it's for me it's black and white. But when I decide what is my frame, I can be free and I can do everything I want within the frame that I've decided on.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's really interesting. So I understand you challenging the word mistake because, yeah, they are all learning opportunities. What's been your, I was going to say your biggest triumph, or what is the thing that you look back on and say, yeah, that was really good. I learned that I need to do more of this. What are you most proud of in your management career, and what did you learn from it?
I think that, as I just mentioned, the fact that I'm still in relationship with almost all of the people that I managed, and I have good relationship with them after I left. It doesn't matter how many years have been. I think that it's a great sign that something went well there. So I think that when I left the different roles, and the text or the emails that I got is it also relates to the mentoring and coaching part, because they appreciated the fact that I mentored them and I
Right.
coached them, and I'm
Yeah.
always there to give the right advice. I had
Yeah.
someone that told me, I was in a meeting and I heard you talking in my head, like what advice you would give me in this situation. And for me, that's the best thing that I could wish for, because now
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
more tools to develop themselves next. And
Yeah.
for me, that's what I want to do. I want to help people to develop themselves in the future. So
Right. Okay. Well, listen, it obviously works. You've been very successful. You were recommended to come here. I mean, there's some clear messages coming through, but you have a very particular slant on things, Roni. Excellent. So, listen, thank you ever so much for that. That was really, really good. Any final words of wisdom that you would impart, particularly to new sales managers?
enjoy, just to enjoy. Life is too short.
Yeah.
Life is
Yeah.
too short, and to spend the days in a place or in a role that that doesn't fulfill yourself. I think it's a pity. Just make sure that you have the right people around you, that you have the supporters, that you know that you are happy and curious about what will come next, and
Yeah.
enjoy it. That's
Okay. That's great advice. We are privileged in the kind of roles that we have, and we only have one life, so to enjoy it. Well, it sounds like you enjoy your life as well, Roni, as well as being very successful. So once again, thanks ever so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Steve. It was a pleasure.
If you're an aspiring, new or developing sales manager in complex business to business, or if you know someone who is, you may want to go to www.realsalesmanager.com. That's www.realsalesmanager, all one word, .com, to learn about our unique blend of training and coaching to help aspiring sales managers to decide if it's right for them and how to go about getting a job, to help new sales managers get as effective as possible, as quickly as possible, and to help developing sales managers with a personalised programme to improve specific skills.